We're gonna hardwire the VCM Tuner 2 into the wire harness, the main engine wire harness. We're gonna do it back by the computer. I figure I can kind of tuck it off to the side back here and then have it come clip into here. And so what you need to do is detach these from the computer. You can do one at a time. I mean, you're only gonna have to deal with one of them at a time anyways. So pick one to unplug, and we need to figure out which wires we're going to try to find. We want to check through continuity. What you can do is you can cut these back and open it up like it is here, and then you can go through and try to find the colors that you're looking for. So we're looking for green, yellow, red, white. Well, the problem with that is that you don't know if it's in this one, or this one. So you're gonna have to, either one at a time, cut them back, check through all the wires, cut it back, check through all the wires, cut it back, check through all the wires. If you're lucky, you get it on the first try. Or what you can do is you can check for continuity between the two wires. So what we want to do is we want to probe the wire here. What we'll use is a digital multimeter. We'll set it to continuity, and that just means that it beeps when you touch the two. It's going to be that setting there. Now the way we want to set this up is we want to be able to get our lead onto the terminal, but this has weatherproofing all around it and the terminal's really small. My probe isn't going to get into there on my lead. So what I want to do is I want to cut it back. I want to cut back the insulation on like a paper clip, or you can use any metal, even a wire or anything that can fit down in there. So we're going to take the insulation off of this paper clip. You want enough so that it can stick in there and still have enough room on the exterior for you to touch it, so you could actually get continuity between the wires. And we'll just stick it into either one of the leads here. And then I'm going to use an alligator clip. Just makes it easy to hold onto one of my leads. Doesn't matter which color you use, just grab one of the leads and stick it on there. Then you're going to take the other side, and we're going to check for continuity. Make sure that we have a good connection. You hear it beep. And then if you look here, you can see the clip, and it looks like we're getting still good continuity. So we're just going to pick a random plug, and what you want to do is you want to make sure that you can get continuity between the lines. It's kind of hard to tell when you stick it down in there if you're touching it or not. So what you can do is you can take another paper clip and stick it into each one. It's kind of time consuming, but if your leads are too thick and they don't fit down there and don't get contact, and you know they're not getting contact, then that's something you're gonna have to do. So you're gonna press it in there kind of firmly, make sure that you're getting contact with every single one of the clips down in there, and you want to make sure that you're not destroying these bridges, these honeycomb on here. So we're going to touch each one of them, and not every one of them has one. Like these two doesn't have one on it. You can actually see that there's nothing there, so you don't have to hit those ones. And you want to kind of go at an angle because they're towards this back end here. So if you're going this way, you're probably not going to contact it. If you want to kind of go at an angle so you know that you're actually contacting each one of them. And you're just going to run through every single one of the wires. And then you're just listening for the beep. So and if you go through all of them and you don't hear anything, just go ahead and make sure that you're still getting continuity. You know, touch that. Yep, we're still good. So we tried this one. There's nothing there. This one, kind of difficult for me to get my lead down in there. Maybe I can go from the side there, but I'm gonna go ahead and hit this other harness here. It's easier. So I'll go ahead and try each one of these. Okay, so this one's the one that beeps. Doesn't matter which one beeps, as long as you know that it's this one that's beeping, because we're going to try to find the wires down here, not up here. So we know that this is going to be the one that has the one that we want. Now we just found the one wire, but we need to find the other wire too. And it could be in one of these other ones. It could be in the same one or the other ones, we don't know. So what we're going to do is we're going to take that out, making sure that you remember which one you were probed, that you just probed. Stick it into the other side. Check your continuity, make sure that you're still connected really good. So we're going to check, that's beeping, and that's beeping, so that's good. Then we're going to take that same wire harness that we had before. Now, if you have them unplugged, I would just unplug one at a time, so that way you know, like, okay, that one's, because once you drop it down, there's a slim chance you'll forget which one you were actually probing. What you can do is you can also just stick something around it, mark it with a marker, put some electrical tape around it. If you put this zip tie in backwards, it'll hold a little bit, but you could also pull it back out. So go ahead and put that on there. Then we'll take our lead. Because we found the wire in this one, let's go ahead and try this one again. And we don't know which one it is now, so we got to go through all of them again. So we'll just hit every single one of them. Okay, so we know they're both on in this one. So we can take that off. Now you got to cut this, you know, if it's got loom and tape around it, you got to cut all that back and expose the wires. I would try to do it closer back here in this area, kind of how this is, where it forks off here. You're going to want enough room so that you can actually cut the wires, strip them back, and connect the leads, because we're going to be taking the plugs and sticking them on there. So we don't need this anymore. So let's unplug all that. Get this out of the way. Clean up your work area. So what we need to do is we need to find out where our wires are in this bundle here. And because we know the colors, green, yellow, red, white, we can just come straight in here and start looking through each one of them. So there's red, yellow. So there's green, yellow. Let's say we're digging in, we're trying to find red, white now. So there's red, yellow, there's green. So just looking for the reds, we see a red here, red, black, and then that red, white. So you want to stick something in there to kind of separate them. Once again, you can use like a zip tie or something, just kind of stuck in there. You don't have to use the zip tie for this you don't have to, you know, cinch down the zip tie, because we're going to be cutting these. So what you want to do is get about an equal distance. You want to about 1.5 inches to 2 inches, even more if you need it. You want to cut these evenly, so side by side, and we're just going to make a snip. Okay, so now your wires are cut. Here's that, and there's that. And you're going to want to strip them back. You want to go, if you have something like this, you want to go kind of like on a loose setting. You don't want to tighten it down. They look like they're really small wires, and so if you go too tight, then they'll likely just cut them. You just want the insulation to come off of them. So you don't need to go too far down on them, depending on what you're using to connect them, what connector you're using. So go ahead and strip both of those. Okay, so we have those leads set. Now what we want to do is we want to figure out which one of these on the VCM tuner we're going to cut back. This will be on here. So you're just going to strip back the loom, exposing your wires. You want to look at which one of these plugs is like the plug going to your sensor. So these two match here. This is the one that you want to keep on here. So this one is going to attach to your wire that's going back to the sensor. And then this side is going to attach to the wires going to the computer. So what you can do is separate them. Looks like they put some Tesa tape or some kind of tape there. And I went and got some harnesses that I'm going to use. I'm going to make it so that I can unplug the VCM tuner too from the harness. There's just going to be an extension coming out. You want to use a decent set of length of wire here. It doesn't have to be that long here. So what you're looking to do is, let's take the longer one, so we want it to kind of come off of the wire harness. You don't want it to be too tight back down here. And we're going to measure off. You can put them side by side like that, but then it creates this fat part right here. What's even better is if you stagger it. So let's say that we put this in, accounting for the plug, and we want to take our red and black, because we're keeping on our blue and green, and then kind of just get a rough idea. It doesn't have to be exact. We're going to go ahead and cut the one plug out. See if we can get it to separate from this here. Okay. Now what we want to do is we want to strip back our wires here. Strip back our wires here. Now we want to strip back our wires on our plugs. So we have one here. Just a little bit more on that one. And then we want to take our other plug, the longer one. You want to strip it back. So now we got all of our exposed wires here. Now this plug is going to come out and plug into this one. So this one's going to go onto the VCM tuner. This one's going to come off of the main wire harness, so they can separate. And then we're going to take the plug that we just cut off, and this one's going to go back to the sensor, so that can plug in to this one. So what we want to do is take some connectors, okay, make sure you got a good connection there. Make sure those aren't coming out. Then we're going to take some heat shrink. We're going to stick those on. We need to figure out which wires are going to attach to which wires. You don't want to get these crossed, right? So we're going to take our plug here, plug that in. So what we have here is red going to red, black going to green. We want to match that on this side, where red goes to red. And black goes to green. It's very important that you remember to put these heat shrinks on, because like let's say that you forgot the heat shrink and now this connection is made, you're not going to get that heat shrink on there. You can't cut it and put it on even though it has adhesive. It'll just unravel. So you're going to want to make sure that you have that on there, or else you're going to be cutting this and making this again. You'll be losing wire length, and you might have to cut back into here even more. You want to make sure you get a really good connection. Go ahead and make sure that those don't come off. Okay, those are good. So now that's done. Now on this back side here, we're going to connect our long lead. We kind of want to do the same color matching on this side. I mean, we can change it up on this back side here. It doesn't really matter, but as long as we keep these, we'll kind of keep the color scheme going here. So what do we have? We have red and black. So black went to green. So let's do black to green, blue to red. Now this time we're going to do it in line with each other, side by side. If we were to go this way, what would happen is this wire is going to want to come out that way now. We're just going to want to come out this way. And so you don't want to have to bend these wires to make that happen. So we can just put them in line with each other. So we'll just do black and green together. Make sure that no wires are sticking out. You don't have to put the heat shrink on. If you actually put it on first, then it'll be in the way and it'll be a problem. You're just going to slip it over the top on this one, so not an issue. And you want to make sure you got a good connection. And we're going to do the same on this one. Make sure no wires are sticking out, and then put those together. Make sure you're good connections, and then we can put the heat shrink over these wires. You want to make sure that it sticks out a little bit. You don't want it to be in line, because you want these to close. We'll actually pinch them together so it'll actually close. You just want to make sure that you're covering the wire so there's no wire exposed. It's looking good. And you can use whatever you want for heat. I don't like to use a big flame like that just because it has a tendency to burn these, so just make it like a lighter. And you don't want to overcook these things. Make sure that they're good and tight together. So yeah, that fell down. I want to make sure that stays above that. Now double make sure that you got these where you want them, because if you put it here, you don't realize until you put it down and then you have a big gap. You want to make sure these are weatherproofed. So just keep going until it cinches over the wires. Alright, let those cool down, and we can wrap it with tape. And then those will be our two connections there. You want them to kind of come off of the main harness there so they can go off to the side and attach to this guy here. So now what we're going to do is we're going to attach this plug, and then let's see, it's cool enough. Let's put some tape around it. You also want to be careful when you're heating up these heat shrink on these really thin wires, like these thin wires. You can burn those right up too. So. Just separate those. Okay, so now these two are going to come in. I'm going to plug this in. And we're going to find out where the wire is going to meet. It actually meets up really good. Just like exactly where we want it. That's good. So now two more connections here. It's a lot easier to mess it up on these skinnier wires. So let's put it on these skinnier wires first, just to make sure we got a good connection. Check it. Looks good. Now these are different color. They're both blue, but one's red with one's red striped, one's yellow striped. We're gonna come back here and just follow this through. So black, it's gonna go through to black. So remember we did green to black and then blue to red. So on this one, no difference. Black to black. Now you don't want to forget your heat shrink. Just stick that on both of those right now so you don't forget the other one. We're going to go red, let's see, black to blue red. Then blue to red. If you want to write down your color code, like write down what you're doing as you're doing it, because see how I kind of covered up what I did here, so there's no real way to verify what I did there. So now we just need to heat shrink these guys up. Make sure you separate them. If you heat them together like that and this one's off, this one can close up on that, and then you have to try to get it to move up and over. So it's good to just do them one at a time or put them both together. And you can do them kind of like that, but it's not the hardest thing to do, but it can be a little bit of a pain. So you don't want it to slide down. You definitely don't want to be touching it. Verify, just see where that's at. Up a little bit. Keep your other wires out of the way so you don't burn them. Okay, so now you can separate them. And that's hardwired into the harness, into the main wire harness, and that's separated. And then what I'm going to do next is I'm going to run a ground wire into the cabin for a switch, and then I'm going to cut this back here and then run a wire up into the fuse box, and then take the fuse out for this guy and fuse it into the actual fuse box. So that'll be on the next video.